Good morning. Here we are to Wednesday, and we are looking still at a major winter storm for the eastern half of the country. It has been a busy past couple of days as we've had the models all pointing to this thing, and we are still looking at a major system coming together. But the local impacts to Hampton Roads is changing a little bit, and I'm going to break all of that down. I'm meteorologist Craig Moeller, broadcasting from the 13 News Now Plus studios serving Southeast Virginia and Northeast North Carolina. But as you tune into the Weather Desk, we cover stories from across the country, around the world. We'll take you into the highest reaches of our atmosphere with the story later today. Here's what we're covering. First and foremost, the latest on the winter storm. We're going to get right into that in a moment. Once we talk about that, I'm going to update you on some winter impacts that we've seen in the last 24 hours, some more big problems with traffic accidents. There are water supply issues in some parts of the country. We'll explain all of this coming up as we go along over this half hour. Then some good news. Big Sur Highway, part of Pacific Coast Highway out there on the West Coast, finally reopens after 3 years of being closed down due to damage, and we're going to have that for you. And then more on the solar storms, the aurora borealis and northern lights, beautiful across parts of the world. We've got some video to share with you on that, and we're going to talk about what generates these solar storms and why the auroras have been so vibrant. Also, that story about the supersonic jet. This is a jet that travels faster than the speed of sound but doesn't produce a sonic boom that we can hear down to the earth. We'll talk about that. And then we're going to talk about what happens after this winter storm this weekend. Long, cold stretch of weather for Hampton Roads and for the eastern U.S., and I'll show you that. All right, here's what's going on. Broad picture. We're going to start off really big here, the broad picture, then we're going to focus in on Hampton Roads. So looking at this, and I've got text messages from friends and family back in St. Louis asking about how all this is playing. I just got a text from a buddy, a close high school friend that's down in the Memphis area asking, goes, hey, is this hype or is this real? What are we looking at? So this just kind of serves to remind you that this is not just a Hampton Roads concern, but watch how this storm overtakes the eastern part of the country. Arctic air is in place. There's going to be Gulf moisture and moisture up the southeast drawn up into this area. A lot of it brought up from the Gulf, feeding into this very cold Arctic air, so that as we go through the day Saturday, there's going to be heavy snow across parts of North Carolina, Tennessee, Kentucky, into western Virginia, parts of southern West Virginia, more unsettled weather back across the south central U.S. Then you've got this area that we have the potential for some freezing rain, maybe some sleet in the mix as well, and then rain right along the coast. This is the GFS model, and you can see again how much of the country is going to deal with this snow. This is not a small area. This is not just a sliver or an area where, hey, just this couple of states is getting hit. You've got a bunch of states that are going to be impacted, and then as this system pulls to the northeast, you see that snow overtaking the major metropolitan, the heavy populated, dense populated areas in the northeastern U.S. It's going to be a big issue through Sunday night and into early Monday before the system exits. That's the GFS. Here's a look at the European. Yep, this model pointing to it as well. Confidence very high that we're going to have this major winter storm, and this will be a huge story across the country as we go through the weekend. So we're going to be looking at that. Here, the Euro is a warmer solution. This model's trending a little farther north, and the GFS is as well, bringing in a little more warm air, which means most likely less snow, maybe significantly less snow right along the coast, but the potential for freezing rain and ice farther inland. So I'll break down the Euro, and we'll talk about some of these threats coming up as well. Here are the headlines for Hampton Roads. We do have this big winter storm, and what has changed? Well, the models are still consistent in producing this scenario. I just showed you the Euro and the GFS. But the track has shifted, and now, again, and not that it ever was necessarily going to be all snow, but Monday it was looking like mostly snow, just a little bit of rain, southern Outer Banks. Then yesterday, we started to see a little more warm air work into the region, and this is so common for coastal Virginia and northeast North Carolina. We frequently get this where we get a little more warm air in, so not a surprise to see the totals come down a little bit yesterday. So not all snow for Hampton Roads. We will see some rain at the coast and then mix and sleet. This is why the snow forecast is going to be so tricky even over the next couple of days. This is going to likely be a long duration event starting Saturday and continuing through the day on Sunday, changing forms of precipitation a little bit and then exiting Monday morning. So a lot to break down for you. Now, as far as the impacts go, this graphic I've changed a little bit from yesterday. Initially the main thinking was moderate snow to high snow impacts. We're still leaving it there because some parts of the area are still likely to have heavy snow. And you'll see that as I show you some of the model outputs, mainly to the north and northwest across the area. The metro area, lower amounts, and near the coast, lower amounts as well. But what I've done is I've upped the impacts potentially from ice. And I think inland areas, western parts of the south side, down into North Carolina, there's a greater potential for freezing rain and sleet. So that could be a bigger issue. Also, I've taken rain from a low impact to a low to moderate impact, as I do expect more rain to come in. Now, we're not talking about, torrential downpours and widespread flooding or anything like that. But with more rain in the mix, there will be that consideration as well. Wind and cold still not looking to be that bad, although the temperatures stay cold next week, and that may be an issue after the storm exits. But this is specifically for this upcoming weekend. Sure, it'll be cold enough for snow or wintry precipitation, but it's not going to get, bitterly cold with, whipping winds. It doesn't look like that's the setup with this one. Although it will be breezy, so we'll talk about that. All right, now the precip type, snow mix rain for southeast Virginia, northeast North Carolina. Confidence meter, again, pretty high. I think we're going to get a little bit of everything. Could it shift farther north and become more rain? There's a possibility. That's why it's not pegged high, but it's looking like we're going to have a pretty good mix of different precipitation types. Could it go farther south and become a colder system? More snow? Yeah, that's also a possibility. So I'm going to say moderate to high on the precip type. Snow totals, this is the lowest of our confidence as far as the three different things we're looking at here. With the amounts of snow, again, we saw the amounts basically get cut in half from yesterday with the warmer scenario coming in, and that could still swing back the other way. So up or down, there's still some variability in the model output from run to run and between the models. So that's the least confidence that we have, and it's moderate. I do expect snow across parts of the area, and I expect mix and rain, but as far as really pinning down this area is going to see exactly this much or that area is going to see that, that's a trickier business right now. I will say lesser amounts near the coast and south and higher amounts north and west. So we're confident in that. But exactly how much, that's going to be the trick. And then the timing is pretty high. We feel good about this thing starting on Saturday for most of us and then continuing Sunday and exiting early Monday. That timing has remained fairly consistent from run to run. Now, this is a brand new updated snow odds map. We take a look at the probabilities from the ensembles, okay? And that's where we have a model, the Euro, and they do some little subtle changes. They keep running it over and over and over. And you take a look, the Euro ensembles still at 60%, the chance for an inch or more. If you were watching a day or two ago, it was like 100%. They're like 100%, 100%, 100%. Now they're saying, well, now we're getting a little more rain, okay? Again, this is not forecast. This is for Norfolk, for the downtown area. That's what these numbers represent. And this is model data, which we use as a guidance. So, you can't say, well, yesterday it was 100%, now it's 60%. Yeah, that's what the model data showed, 100%. And now, this morning, it's showing 60% with the Euro, 40%, 3 inches or more, 20%, 6 inches or more, and the Euro saying don't count on a foot, not around Norfolk. All right. So that's the Euro, and you'll notice that it did not change from last night's previous run to the newest run that just came out early this morning. All right, when we look at the GFS, it's still got us in that 90 to 100% chance for 1 inch. I say 90 and just down just a little bit because it's slightly closer to the next lower tier. So I'll say 90% GFS, but it now has us at an 80% chance for 3 inches, a 60% chance for 6, and 12 inches or more at 20%. And all of these are up from the previous run. So the GFS is saying, hey, don't discount the cold air being in place and the bigger column. Euro says, nope, we're bringing in more warm, moist air off the coast and up into the picture here, kind of warming up the mid layers. You'll see how that plays out with the amounts, but GFS is saying don't discount it too quickly here, and they're actually up a little bit from this previous run. Then the Euro AI also down a little bit, but this one's still been producing the best chances for heavier snow. They're just backing off. They were making it absolutely certain we were going to get buried, and now the Euro AI ensemble saying, well, okay, still looks really good, just not as impressive as last night. I hope you enjoy this. This is the type of thing we can get into here on the Weather Desk because we're not looking at a 2-minute segment or a 3-minute segment. We had a half an hour to spend with you, and we can talk. This is that deeper dive that you find here on the Weather Desk. So that's a look at the different ensembles. Now, the snowfall potential, the GFS still calling for 4 to 5 inches of snow from Norfolk to Virginia Beach. Remember, yesterday it was like 8, 9, 10 inches in some areas, and then heavier amounts up towards Richmond. I think they were up around maybe 19 inches, or it was really, really high over the past couple of days. They've come down, okay, generally though, still pretty heavy amounts of snow with the GFS model. And the Euro is saying, nope, there's going to be a lot more rain and sleet mixed in, and they've only got us at about 1 to 2 inches in Norfolk, about an inch or so in Virginia Beach, lesser amounts here with more rain coming in. So kind of interesting to look at that. Still, you see heavier amounts, northern parts of the area and back to the northwest as well. Keep in mind, things could shift back a little bit. Okay, we're not dropping our guard, not at all. But what we are doing is working to keep you informed on the very latest guidance coming in as we get it. That's what I want to do. Now, one of the things that I have seen, I talked about this yesterday, now we're seeing more evidence of the ice potential out to the west. So we're looking at that, and it looks like going into Sunday during the day and Sunday night, even into early Monday, we could see some significant amounts of freezing rain and sleet out there, okay? And this is just the model's output. This is, again, not a forecast, but the model's output for the amounts of sleet that could pile up or some freezing rain. So that becomes a bigger issue. You'll notice for the metro areas and areas closer to the coast, should be warm enough with the Euro's outlook that it's more rain than freezing rain or ice. So that's the way the Euro is handling the ice situation. Here's a closer look at the GFS. Again, the snow comes in Saturday afternoon, continues Saturday night into Sunday. There's that mix, some sleet, freezing rain, kind of mixing, transitioning over to rain for a while on Sunday. Again, that's why our numbers went from close to 10 inches down to about 4.5 to 5. And then you'll notice on the backside into early Monday, that pulls away. Maybe it ends up as snow or mixed precipitation early Monday. It'll pull away as we go through the day on Monday. Here's the outlook from the Euro. And again, that snow forming a little later on Saturday, but snow overnight into our Sunday morning, and then the transition. And then look at how long we have freezing rain and sleet. This is the model I just showed you that had the heavier amounts of ice out to the west. And notice the rain up and down the coast here. Warmer scenario as the low with the Euro is tracking closer to the coast and farther north of previous. So that's a look at those two models. All right, right now we have snow on the ground back across parts of the mountains out west. We've talked a lot about that. Some more lake effect snows for portions of the northeast U.S. And this has been a big deal as we've taken a look at this. I will tell you, snow on the ground in these areas. We'll get into some of the impacts. You can see right now rain is falling, and we've got that rain from Louisiana to Arkansas. As we take a little closer look, you'll notice rain back up across Tennessee. Nothing severe here, but just rain. Transitions to snow this morning across Kentucky and then back into Ohio. You can see snow over the lower peninsula of Michigan, and then we get into the lake effect snow here that we've been looking at. Now, we're going to take a look at how all of this has been impacting things, and I want to start off as we are looking forward to the weekend in North Carolina. Preparations are underway for this possible system, and Dave Faraday reports.
In Avery County earlier today, we saw one truck after another pull into the NCDOT yard to bring approximately 1,000 tons of salt to Avery County. The DOT says it has enough supplies of salt statewide, but it has been a challenging winter to refill some orders in mountain counties because of storms in other parts of the country. In Avery County alone, they go through 250 to 300 tons of salt every winter. Just last week, we saw crews putting down brine, that salt water mixture, in neighboring Caldwell County. We got a chance to talk with the county maintenance engineer in Avery County about maintaining an adequate salt supply this winter.
Salt shipment is very important. We were starting to get low from all we've had, and there so many different places is using salt right now, especially up north. It's getting kind of hard to get here.
All right, so North Carolina scrambling to make sure they're prepared ahead of the next storm, while places like western New York is already dealing with the snow. This is lake effect snow here from this cold air blowing across the Great Lakes, Erie, and Ontario. It's dropped more than 20 inches of snow on western New York. Taylor Epp reports from Holland, not far from Buffalo.
I wish it would stop.
Constant snowfall here in the town of Holland, covering driveways, street signs, and keeping John Esdinsky very busy.
Plow every couple hours or so, no big problem. But if it sneaks up on you overnight, then you got to get the snowblower out.
But when he bought this house 35 years ago, he knew what he was getting into.
I moved here because it was ski country, so I got no reason to complain. Can't live in western New York and say, well, gee, I hope it don't snow.
He says the snow has been light, but
wind was brutal. I mean, you know, it was blowing and drifting, even though we don't have a lot of drifts or anything like that. You just couldn't be out here. It was just too brutal.
But he says he can depend on his streets to be clear.
Case in point, here they come right now, and if they don't do anything, they plow enough. I think the third time I've seen them today. I've been out here for like about 2 hours.
The snow's been manageable for us.
Highway Superintendent Jason Simmons has 3 trucks out here handling it all.
We don't have a second shift, so my guys do it all. So we're out at 4 in the morning, and we usually shut down around 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock at night, and then get some rest and then back out again at 4 in the morning.
He says visibility is the toughest part, so it's been helpful that schools and businesses are closed.
Because I don't have to worry about the buses, and it's a lot less traffic on the roads for us, for sure. It helps out a lot.
A lot of work, but nothing they're not used to.
I think we're pushing 20 inches, 21, 22 inches. It's definitely been a little bit of a while. We're going to get it for 24 hours straight for sure, but I mean, it's an old-fashioned winter, no doubt about it.
All right, staying in New York, the wintry weather caused a major crash involving dozens of vehicles in Fredonia. This is a look at the aftermath along Interstate 90 last night. More than 60 cars and tractor trailers were damaged over a 6-mile stretch. The pileup shut down the road for hours. There is still no word if anyone got hurt. Now we'll turn our attention down to Pennsylvania. The freezing temperatures are causing issues along the Allegheny River in Pittsburgh. Crews there with Pittsburgh Water are working to clear ice that blocked the water intake along the river. The jams have restricted capacity and preventing normal pumping operations. That means water service and pressure could be impacted for customers, especially those in higher elevation neighborhoods. All right, you can see what's going on there. We're going to take a really quick break, and coming up in just a couple minutes, we're going to take a trip to space and why parts of the U.S. will be able to see the northern lights this week. Welcome back to the Weather Desk. An iconic stretch of highway back open on the West Coast. This is south of San Francisco and Monterey, and we're zooming in down towards Big Sur. Check it out. 90 miles of the scenic Highway 1 near Big Sur are now open to drivers after being closed for 3 years. The roadway had been undergoing repairs following a series of landslides in January of 2023. The highway is considered a bucket list drive for those traveling between Los Angeles and San Francisco. The reopening came 3 months ahead of schedule, giving tourists plenty of time to plan their spring and summer road trips. All right, we talk a lot about this stuff here going on, but we want to turn our attention to space because it's not just Earth that experiences storms. Right now, the sun is unleashing its largest solar radiation storm in more than 20 years, and it can cause auroras, also known as the northern lights. That may be visible, obviously, for many parts of the Earth, but even farther south, some places that don't get to see them. In fact, those auroras, how about this? Across the United States, all the way down to the south. Here in Virginia, this picture was captured from Shenandoah National Park on Monday night. People as far south as Alabama could see the lights during this storm. And have you ever wondered what the northern lights look like from space? A Russian cosmonaut recorded this video on board the ISS yesterday. Storms like this can cause increased radiation exposure risks for astronauts, so they are very mindful of those solar storms and they take precautions. Now, you may be wondering if geomagnetic storms and space weather can impact the weather we see here on Earth. Chief Meteorologist Tim Pandages explains.
After what we experienced Monday evening with a severe geomagnetic and solar storm, and even the northern lights being reported very far south, a lot of people have been asking if space weather can actually affect our weather here at the ground. The short answer is no. It doesn't change our temperatures, create storms, or impact rain or snow chances. That's because our everyday weather happens in the lowest part of the atmosphere, called the troposphere. That's where clouds form, storms develop, and where we live. Geomagnetic storms, on the other hand, happen much higher up in the atmosphere, in a layer called the ionosphere, far above where our weather systems exist. However, during stronger events like the one we saw Monday night, the solar activity can briefly interfere with satellites and GPS signals that weather models rely on for data, especially high in the atmosphere and near the poles. When that happens, models may deal with small data gaps or extra noise, which can lead to more run-to-run changes than usual. It's important to know this doesn't change the weather itself. It only affects the data going into our models. That's why during times like this, we focus more on trends and ensembles rather than just one model run. And that's especially important right now because we are tracking a higher end potential for impactful weather this coming weekend. We'll continue to fine-tune the forecast over the next couple of days and keep you updated as confidence increases.
All right, Tim, thank you so much. All right, while we're talking about the higher elevations and that upper atmosphere, right now NASA is in the process of testing a new experimental aircraft designed to achieve supersonic flight, but without the loud sonic boom. Photojournalist Luca Pfeiffer got a chance to talk with the aircraft's first test pilot.
This is what I feel like I was meant to do.
5-9, cleared for takeoff.
Working on something like this is why I became a test pilot.
The X-59 is built now by NASA. It's a research platform where we're trying to develop low-boom supersonic technologies.
So I flew the first flight of this aircraft. It was a lot like flying a video game.
The unique part about this airplane obviously is the nose. It's a very long nose. Because of that nose, it's impractical to put a real window in this vehicle for the pilot to look out and see. We have developed here at Langley an external vision system capability, which is an electronic means of vision for the pilot to see forward.
I've got an upper camera, I have 3 lower cameras, I have synthetic vision systems, I have GPS, I have so many different things that help me line up on the runway. They give me symbology and overlays like my airspeed, my altitude. Certain things will actually stand out a little bit more. So if there was traffic out in the distance, it would actually show up a little bit better than me just looking out a window. We will progress through the next few months and eventually we'll go supersonic and then up to about Mach 1.5, about 900 miles an hour, a little bit faster than that.
So you could reduce the time almost in half between flying from Los Angeles to New York because you can fly supersonically.
It is really cool to get to work on something so unique. Hopefully it's going to benefit the public in the future. Hoping to get everybody to Grandma's house twice as fast.
It's incredible to think about moving that fast and then not hearing the boom down here. All right, here's what's going on today. Temperatures topping out in the upper 40s. We do have some changes coming up over the week ahead. You want to stay up on those. You can find me at any of these social outlets. Again, we're constantly promoting different things going on. You can see we've got some nice weather for the next couple of days, then the chances for showers, and then what we're going to be talking about, the weather impact alert for the weekend, Saturday into Sunday. We're going to see snow and then mix, maybe some freezing rain for parts of the area. The precip will end early Monday. Beyond that, all next week, much, much colder air with temperatures staying in the low 30s to mid 30s for highs. I hope you've enjoyed this edition of the Weather Desk. Stay tuned to weather changes. We'll keep you updated.